Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. It is so wonderful to have you here with us today. My name is Courtney Scales. I'm the head of marketing here at Reapit and Console. Joining us today is Nikki Wood, who is our product marketing manager, and hiding in the wings is our chief product and marketing officer, Matt McGowan. Hello, everybody. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we do get started. If you have any questions at any point during the webinar today, Anne, our product manager for Analyticsplus, is on the line and here to answer any questions that you do have. We've also got a couple of polls that we'll be running today. So we want to keep this webinar as interactive as we can because there's a lot of content that we're going to get through today, and we appreciate you all joining us here. So let's get started. To cap off today's agenda, we just want to say again, thank you so much for joining us today in the webinar. And we're very excited to talk to you today about our new product, Analyticsplus, and what it means for you as an agency, as well as a property manager. This webinar is designed to be informative and engaging, and also to get an understanding of a few key points. So hopefully what our aim of today is really to showcase Analyticsplus, and also to have you leave here today possibly knowing some new things that you didn't know before, which would be very exciting. So what we're going to be doing is covering off three key points that you see here on screen. So first up on the agenda, we will go back in time and explain, what's been going on in the world, what is data, and, lift the hood a little bit to understand, how data is driving business growth like never before. Then the wonderful Nikki is going to dive into the concept of golden data, and me, myself, I'm very curious to hear what golden data is. Sounds very fancy. And how it can actually apply to, you in property management. And then finally, Matt is going to showcase the most important part of today's webinar, which is the demo of Analyticsplus. And we'll wrap up at the end and answer any Q&As that you have as they roll through. And Anne will be here again to answer any questions that you do have. Alrighty, let's get into it. So, data, what's this word? Might not sound so exciting at first, but let me assure you, it is pretty nifty when you know how to manipulate it and transform it to work with you rather than you working for the data. What I mean by this is that, there's a significant difference between just using your data and simply managing it. So to put this into perspective, let's go back in time, all the way back to 2003, which actually doesn't feel like that long ago, kind of feels like yesterday. Enter the wonderful Google. So in 2003, Google had created 5 exabytes of data. You're probably thinking, what's an exabyte? I know I am thinking that too. Full reference, 1 exabyte is 1 billion gigabytes. So think about 1 billion 1 gig USBs. That is just crazy. And moving forward on to 2010, so 7 years later, that 5 exabytes of data is created every 2 days. Nuts. And then moving forward again to 2011, that amount, that 5 exabytes of data was created every 40 minutes. Wild. As you guys can imagine, the rapid speed at which data is growing and created is just phenomenal. This example is to really, kind of put into perspective just how much growth there has been at the speed of which data has been collected over the past few years. It's just insane. So when we talk about data, there's the other side to the coin, which is how to understand it. And this understanding is commonly known as data literacy. According to our friends at Gartner, they predict that data literacy is predicted to be one of the most in-demand skills by 2030, based on what we can do with the data. So in terms of doing, what does do mean? Doing can drive business growth by essentially underpinning more intelligent and automated working practices. It can bring efficiency and more collaboration with teams, with the desired outcome of increasing our productivity. So by 2023, Gartner also predicts that data literacy is going to become one of the most important aspects to business success. And that is only just a few months away, which is crazy. How are we here this year? When you look at it from where we currently sit, they also believe that only 11% of employees can actually confidently read, analyze, and action the data. So whilst we're all talking about data here today, and you'll probably be sick of the word data by the end of today, we might be missing a bit of a trick here when it comes on how, to actually how we can apply it. So when we look at what we do online, every interaction we do creates new data. Looking at this big spiky web up here on screen, this is actually a picture of the internet. All of those little spiky things are IP addresses or users on the internet. And all of these people, us included, are contributing to the wealth of information that's out there online. This webinar is a good example of a piece of data. The webinar itself, registrants, how much we engage with it, all of these things, for example, are bits of pieces of data. And so what happens next is the storage of this data. You have all of your internal company records, your customer data, and then in your personal life, you've got your own information as well. So here at Console Cloud, we rely heavily on each of these little data points within our system to drive our automated workflows, such as our lease renewals workflow, our arrears workflow, compliance, maintenance, etc. Or say you look at our bills workflow, Console Cloud will learn the common bills that you're uploading and attribute it more accurately in the future based on the information that's provided to it. But what if you could analyze this data as well? Rather than pulling out spreadsheets and creating pivot tables and reports and list views, what if you could be predicting performance, turning those spreadsheets into actionable insights and gaining intelligence from your information rather than just action? Here at Console, as a tech company, we need to make sure that we're on top of all of the trends that are happening out in the world, to help you make better decisions. And I guess the key question here is what makes Console different from other property management softwares out there? And why are we even talking about data more broadly? And how does it actually relate to what you do in your daily life? Well, there's two factors that actually drive this. So factor number one is the property management landscape. And then factor number two is something called the digital landscape. So both of them evolve and, both of them have different ecosystems, but they influence each other as time passes. Just as property management needs over time, your clients' needs also change as well. A really good example of these changing needs is the move from server-based softwares to cloud-based softwares that all happened over the past few years. Another factor, factor two, is this digital landscape. So when we looked at that example earlier of Google and the exabytes, that's one website, one piece of a massive technology puzzle globally. And think about how much Google on their own has evolved over the years and what we expect from Google has changed over the years. We can't stay forever in the days of paper reports and manual tasks. We've just got to get better and evolved. Your expectations from your property management software has also evolved over the years, just as it has for your latest phone purchase or the apps that you use. So this evolution that we're talking about here at Console is something that's really, really important to us and something that we invest in quite heavily to ensure that you're getting a product that works with you and grows as everything around you does too. You're busy people, we know this. You don't have time to be sifting through spreadsheets, managing reports, analyzing data. We're not, all of us here aren't data scientists. You need something that works with you and for you to give you the insights without you having to spend hours sifting through all this information. Speaking of information and sifting through it and getting to our next point, Nikki, can you dive into what is this mythical golden data?
I sure can. Thanks, Court. So there does come a point where this growth in data, there's just so much information or data going around us that it is hard to quantify. And when I say quantify your data, I mean bring it all together cohesively. This can be quite a cumbersome and time-consuming task on top of your other duties to do this manually. Console Cloud already brings your data together in property management, and we take it a step further by creating actionable tasks that can be created off the information you have, such as our workflows, all neatly stored and tracked. These tasks can also be completely automated and hands-off. So being reminded of a task is one thing, but being reminded and a program doing it for you is another. So set and forget is better than remembering to do. Another example is our smartphone apps, Console Go Inspect for property managers that are taken with you on the road, and apps for tenants and owners to keep track of their properties and information swiftly, keeping everything paperless and the ability to be mobile as we're cloud-based. So we too need to continuously develop in ways that help businesses stay ahead in this growing age of data and the amount of data that it accumulates because of it. There's actually a term for the digital era we're in. It's called the information age. It seems fairly obvious when you think about it, caused by computerization, but we're in the later parts of this age, which includes cloud computing, artificial intelligence, extended reality, like virtual reality, for example, and the Internet of Things. Here's a fun fact. Businesses who effectively use their data are 23 more times likely to outperform their competitors in acquiring customers and 9 times more likely to retain them. Sadly, to that amazing statistic, the downside is 73% of data that businesses have goes unused for analytical purposes. So effectively, it's just being stored. But the golden data, now let's get into that. So what is golden data? Golden data is a metaphor for, really, a pot of gold. You associate gold with high value, and that's exactly what this means, high value data. It's the information that can really help in making a strategic decision or can back up a change in business direction with a degree of confidence in your outcome. So you know you're not making that decision just based on a gut feeling. Not much is ever certain, but more certainty is always ideal, right? Well, using your golden data, the data that really brings to light the things you didn't know before, patterns or information that was once uncertain, has effectively helped some organizations grow much faster. And we'll go into a bit more detail on what that looks like specifically in property management. You may think, oh, well, we need data analysts for this. Well, they are incredibly talented people who can do this type of discovery of golden data, but we understand hiring a data analyst to analyze your data is fantastic, but not always feasible for some organizations. It's a true skill to manipulate data into actionable insights. Most often, it's rows of information, text or numbers, various mathematical calculations, statistics, and programming languages used to analyze the data, and that's collectively known as data science. And the output is a cleaned and structured version of your information into valuable insights and visualizations. And when we say visualizations, we mean the ability to literally see your data in some form that can be digested and understood. Images can tell you a story behind your data. There are visualization softwares out there that do exactly that, specializing in displaying your data. However, you have to integrate your data sources with them or upload spreadsheet files with extracted data from your original source. Not to mention, they do add to your tech stack and annual costs. Also, here's the kicker. They're not made for property management specifically. So there's a bit of legwork to get all that going rather than it just being at your fingertips on the ready. So what can you do with your data? If we were to summarize them into umbrella terms, there are essentially 4 key elements that you can do with your golden data. They are building trust across the business, providing quality service experiences, forming longer relationships with customers, and pivoting where necessary and growing with business decisions. So let's go into each of these in more detail. Building trust. This can be internal or external. So within your workplace and with your customers, essentially across your entire business. We probably know about building trust with customers, but internally, it's just as important. As you are going through your job responsibilities, no doubt it's a better feeling to have trust in the direction the company is heading and trusting the decisions made. When we have trust, we are effectively providing positive and productive environments, and our teams are more likely to stay. When these business movements are backed by data, that trust grows as we build that confidence. For customers, it's exactly the same. They too need to feel confident in the direction your organization is heading, that you can provide them with the services they need effectively, which leads to my next point. Providing quality service experiences. So we know that when we have a great service and experience, we're more likely to engage with that business. Think about it from the perspective of your tenants and landlords. The expectations of customers can drive some of the services you provide. If you're not as informed about the property industry, your own areas or your own client base, your own team members or your own performance, there is no doubt a competitor who does monitor these things. They can utilize that knowledge to provide an exceptional service and experience for their customers, sailing off into the wind and leaving you behind, and possibly taking some of your customers with them. An example can be predicting trends in your data for tenant vacancies. If you could see in advance any trends happening in that area, what could you do to provide quality service experiences to possibly encourage tenants not to vacate by preparing ahead of time? So forming longer relationships with customers. Wouldn't it be nice to just continue throughout the years with so much built trust? You effectively form these relationships with your customers and they never leave. So how can data be used to support that? Well, through analyzing your golden data, you can bring your insights and knowledge into conversations with your customers. For example, visualizing your average rent prices in particular suburbs on a map view, and then communicating this to your landlords and tenants can really help in building that rapport that you are the experts in your area. You can see the suburbs as a whole and what is the average rent in that area. And when you communicate that, you're backed with hard facts, meaning your data. With this confidence in you and your business as the experts, your customers may be well more inclined to A, stay with you, and B, talk about you. And when we know that builds positive brand reputation, and that can lead to new customers. So word of mouth is still incredibly, incredibly valuable. And pivoting where necessary and growing. So we know there are always many things to do, and sometimes our tasks can get a bit of out of sorts. If you can understand your portfolios in detail, ideally identifying any unprofitable properties in your books, this can really help refine the focus to the properties that count, either in pivoting your priorities towards different properties or essentially eliminating any unprofitable properties from your books altogether. Both will provide room and clarity where there is an actual impact to the business in a positive way. Another way to grow with your data is benchmarking your portfolios to evaluate properties gained and lost annually and see if your rent roll is on the rise. If it's not, maybe there's something within your data that can give light to the reason, so you know where to pivot business decisions and then close that gap and realign the focus. You could also analyze neighborhoods in your properties on a micro level and look for any differences. You can then use those insights to determine other strategies. So these are all methods to analyze, optimize, and grow as an effective data-driven business. Instead of letting your information be in that 73% of data that goes unused, be the business that analyzes and then optimizes. And on that note, I'm going to hand you over to Matt here.
Thanks, Nikki. Look, we're going to get into the nitty gritty, and we're actually going to demo the product, which is why you're all here. So just a quick quick recap. Obviously, we've had a business intelligence tool in market for a couple of years, and we've actually gone back to the ground, built it from the ground up. Anne, who is online, has been running our beta program. So what I'm about to demonstrate today is already in market. We have people testing it, using it. And if you'd like to be part of that beta program, you can just ping Anne and she will add you. We can take a few more beta clients. Now I'm going to be demonstrating some demo data. So it's not perfect, but it's really exciting just to be able to show you some of the capability that we've added to our Analyticsǃ. So this is just a little sneak peek of some of the dashboards that we've built. Obviously they're visual. We've really gone back to first principles, and sitting behind each of these dashboards is data science and business intelligence that will allow you not only to visualize your data, but to run forecasts and trend analysis, as well as print these pieces of information out if you need to hand it to your principal or your head of PM. But it's a really, we've tried to take all the data and a lot of what Nikki's just spoken about and provide simple, actionable KPI dashboards. So that's what we're going to run through. Well, I'm just going to share my screen because we're running on a different tech stack. So just bear with me. Excellent. So screens are up. First thing I'm going to do is just give you a quick high-level run-through of each of the dashboards and just some of the principles that sit behind each of the dashboards. And for those who've been using Insights+, hopefully you're going to notice a really big positive change in how we're trying to help you make this data actionable. So we have two KPI reports. We have our PM KPI dashboard, and we have our whole of business KPI dashboards. Now, a couple of my widgets aren't working because I haven't been receiving income in my systems. But let's just step through just the top line of each of these dashboards. The first thing you'll notice, and is common amongst every dashboard, will be an actionable KPI hit list. So I can see my cancelled leases. This is my PM KPI dashboard. The percentage of lease renewals I have. I've got dates down here where I can actually go in and filter this view. Properties without a lease, which is a concern, and I can also see which portfolios those properties are that do not have leases. Again, on my business overview, headline KPI indicators, and the detail comes below. So, number of properties, my rent income, my management income, everything down here is a breakdown. My lost and gained, my tenants in arrears. So you can see headline KPI, detailed information, and we'll go into these a little bit further when we go one by one through the reports. Just what Nikki was mentioning. We've also got some visualizations on maps, which just make things really cool and interactive. I'll get into Brisbane when I come back and demo this report. But again, headline KPIs and detail. And these are really great graphical visualizations of your information. Lost and gained, you can start to see the trend. There's our headline KPIs and the detail. Now, for those of you who currently use Insights+, you'll be familiar with the little filtering tab, so you can really dive deeper into your information. If you've got multiple offices, you can click on your office view and select which office you want to dive into. I can go into my portfolio view. I can change my report dates. So again, very powerful filtering that helps you get to the information that you want to get to. My maintenance report and my tenant report that kind of gives me an overview of my tenants. So I'm going to go into this in a little bit more detail now, and we're just going to start with the PM report. So again, this report just, I've got some default settings, but I can see already my cancelled leases. I can see my properties without a lease. And by clicking on this information, it will actually update the whole dashboard. So that's really useful. If I just want to get a view of my Southside portfolio and I want to know the percentage of leases being renewed, any cancelled leases, inspections, maintenance, anything in arrears, it will actually filter filter that view down for me. Really powerful. I can simply just go up here and clear my selection. And again, that will just, update the dashboard. We've tried to make it much simpler. Again, for those people who've been using Insights for a while, the filtering is really powerful, but sometimes you can get lost. So we've added these nice little widgets on here that can help you dive deeper into a certain time period. And, you can actually kind of go through and you can, move that just to see, what's happened over time. So again, a really powerful little tool to help you understand your data better. And I can see my average annual rent there, as well as some of the differences between the rent we're charging and some of the recommended rent that we've put up. So I've got a lot of vacancies because I've got a lot of properties that haven't gone and been filled. So this is my KPI dashboard. It's going to go to the business overview. So this is a higher level view again, and the principles are the same. I can click on a portfolio to get, I've just clicked on TJ's portfolio, and this will kind of update all my stats relevant to TJ's portfolio. I can see what's being gained, tenants in arrears. Down here, I'm getting some really useful information. So these are the visual indicators that we're referring to. Who's more than 15 days in arrears. It's a quick little indicator that I can go through and have a look. Anyone who's, less than 1 day. This is TJ's portfolio. He's managing things quite well. So, he's not managing things very well at all. He's got 81 properties in arrears out of 88. So, that's something that I can pick up with TJ in my one-on-ones. I can see the commissions, the average commissioned year to date in his portfolio, how many maintenance requests, and total vacant days in TJ's portfolio. So you can see the dashboard's interactive. It's here to help you get insight. If I want anything else that's not on the dashboard, filtering wise, I can come over to my, my detailed filters, move some things around. If I want to look at a specific owner, I can keep adding these filters, and I can also just clear these filters. So I'll just go up here and clear that selection. So again, we've just made the system much simpler to use. These are highly valuable reports. I'm going to show you how you can, print these reports and kind of customize them to send to either your manager or principal. But we'll go into one of the next reports. This is our all properties report, and this is where we get to really show some of the, some of the really neat capability that Analytics+ will provide you. So I'm just going to zoom into my Brisbane portfolio. We've had a bit of fun adding properties all over the world just to watch this map work. But I'll go into my Brisbane view. And basically I've got a view of all of my properties by location. And if I click on one of these locations, so it's one property, let me get an area with lots of properties. Oh yeah, there. Tarragindi. I'll just zoom in. This dashboard will actually update for everything relevant in my, in that Tarragindi suburb. So my active properties, my vacant properties, my annual rent, this larger dashboard still calculating. I can come down here and see the types of properties that I've currently got in Tarragindi. So I've got some units, got a couple of retail, I've got some houses, what their average rent is as well. So again, just a really useful tool. This is what Nikki was talking about, being able to dive into a suburb. Obviously, this is demo data. So, we're experimenting with properties, all over the country. You'll have a much more, solid few suburbs rather than, multiple suburbs. Just going to clear the selection for a minute because I want to show you some of the other tools. So, obviously clicking on things updates the whole dashboard. For those people who really like to dive into the data further, we still have maintained the table views. So these are the table views. You can actually get all your information. You can export to CSV, do what you like with these reports. I'm just going to clear my selection so I get a bit more information to play with. So it's really detailed, guys. Again, you can see that I've cleared that information. You can see all of the nice visual imagery here of all the different property types I have. I can click on these and filter the whole dashboard as well, which is quite cool. But I'm just going to wait for this little dashlet to refresh. Now, let's just have a look at my average annual rent and commission percentage by month. This is a key leading indicator report. I can drill into this information a little bit further. I can move my widget around. I'm just going to pop this out. Now, this is where I think Analytics+ really stands apart from other offerings in the market. I've added a forecast to my data. Now, to get a forecast, you need to have historical information in the system, and the historical information in the system informs the future forecast. So you can see I've kind of been down here with like quite low average annual rents and rental commissions. It's cropped up, and we're here today, and the system has actually gone and given me a forecast of where this particular indicator is going to go. So it's given me a forecast value. It's given me an upper bound. So, the more data that you have in the system, the higher the level of confidence and the less gap between the upper and lower bounds. So, this is just one piece of really interesting bits of information that you can now get in your Console Cloud subscription or your Analytics+ subscription. So I've used the Analyze It button here. I can choose which particular item I want to get a forecast on. I can actually look at my actual versus forecast over time. And a lot of these widgets will also allow you to add trends. So we're going to have a look at a couple of those trends really shortly. So that's the All Properties report. The Lost and Gain report. I'm just going to move some of these things out of my way so I can. Oh. Yeah, cool. So again, my indicators, my new owners, my properties lost, my properties gained. So, I've got 12 new owners. I've probably picked up 2 properties from one of those owners, and just giving you like an average rental addition. How much additional value are those clients bringing into our rent roll? Now, this is my lost reasons. I can actually just see, owner moving in or owner self-managing. So I'm getting just some information about these lost properties. And again, as long as you're collecting this information when you record a lost management or a gain management, that is what informs these charts. Where am I getting my new properties from? So I'm either poaching them from my competitor, referred by another agency, unhappy with previous agent, existing client, probably adding another property, another management to us. If I click on this, it will update the dashlets. So I'll be able to see which portfolios these additional properties are going into. It's really cool. And in the detail, I can actually click on the table and just find out a bit more information about that property. So as Nikki mentioned, we're visualizing your information. It's about giving you those little steers on what to go and investigate further. And as you drill into this information, you can always go to the table view and just go a little bit deeper and validate that information. So just coming down further, I can see my gained and lost properties by reason, by portfolio. So, another nice little visual steer. I can see TJ's been struggling. TJ's been working very hard, gaining properties from other agencies. So our BD is working really well there. And I can get this information over time. So, gain loss by rent commission. So not just looking at the number of properties won and lost, but actually looking at the financial impact of those properties on my rent roll. So a really beautiful report. Actually, this one is a good one just to, actually, I'll just go here, just to show some of the other little neat features that you can manage in here. I'm the head of PM. My principal wants a report, doesn't necessarily come into cloud. I can actually just, update this report. I can add a title or remove a title. I can extend a widget if I think it's, hang on, sorry, I've just got to edit that. Go to edit mode. And I might think this is much more important information. So I really want to blow that up so it's really clear. You know, I'll try and fit more on a page. I can choose whether I have a compact view or large view header. You know, again, it's just something to take to our weekly meetings to have a conversation. And it's just all about making it as easy as we can, you know, to share some of the insights from this information for people who don't have access. Obviously, the best way is to be able to come into the system, you know, mess around with the filters, get a table view, you know, dive into the data. But we appreciate not everyone is in Console Cloud, and this information is shared to a broader group of users. So that's gained and lost. This one's my maintenance report. So again, like we're starting to get that, you're starting to get that feeling. I've got my KPIs up the top here, my open requests, emergency, open urgent, maintenance requests, the average cost. I've got my little time series down here that I can play with. You can actually kind of move that just to look at what's been happening lately. It will update different parts of the system. I can see all the status, all my maintenance status. So as a head of PM, or even as, you know, property manager myself, what works in progress, I can click on this little indicator and you can see it's the urgent work in progress. I can come up here to my table, and this table will be updated with that information as these widgets load. So just, you know, going through, then I can get my table view of that information. Just going to clear that selection. You can see it updated the average days open. So all this information just keeps being updated as I click through the widgets. I can see where the sources of my maintenance requests are coming. So, you know, in Console Cloud, there's obviously the maintenance scheduler. So this is my recurring maintenance, is a big contributor to the number of requests I receive. You know, this is from the property manager app. So using Console Go to log maintenance, the tenant app, logging maintenance through the tenant app. And I think this is a really good indicator, because over time, we actually want less and less of our tenants to be logging maintenance, either, you know, by calling us or, you know, sending us an email. We want them to log it through the tenant app, so that flows through the maintenance workflow. And, you know, as a property manager, I don't have to do as much work. I'm reviewing the images that they've submitted. I'm reviewing the text they've submitted. And then I'm either issuing the work order or request for quote. Now, this is a great little graph because it's giving me some of my key creditor statuses and just highlighting how many work orders have been sent. And I can also see like which of my creditors have a lot of work in progress. I've just actually turned that filter off. So I actually want to turn all of these things off. So I can, at a quick glance, I can see which of my creditors have, you know, basically jobs open and how long they've been open for. So this is a concern to me. Jerry's Plumbing, basically almost 3 years worth of maintenance requests open, 15 requests, and click on this filter down, go to my table. As that updates, and dive into that information, which is really, really useful. And again, I think Anne's done a great job. She's made it really, really simple just to start, you know, clearing filters, because filters sometimes can get a bit confusing. I'll clear that filter. I think I've cleared all my other filters. Yeah. I might just do a live demo of the Analyze It. Like, let's just see how it goes. Always high risk, but it's one of the great tools. Do a forecast. I want to do a forecast on the requests. We'll let that run. Oh, that's why I shouldn't do this live, guys. That didn't quite work as I expected. So I'll move on. And now this is my tenant report. So again, just to reiterate, my KPIs are up the top. The detail is down the bottom. I can filter these by clicking on these bars, to actually dive down into my information. So I've just clicked on a portfolio there. And then I can come and look at my top 25 clients in arrears, and hopefully your data will be much better than this. And there'll be, people with arrears sub 50,000, which would be great. That's Bob's portfolio. He's really struggling. So this information is to give you, visual steers. Like, it's really, there's so much information being collected in our systems. The intention of Analytics+ is just to give you those high-level snapshots that you can, or those high-level prompts that you can click on and go into a little bit further. We're just popping some polls at the moment. So we're not popping that poll. And again, just to make the filtering, a bit simpler, we've gone and added some predetermined bits of information that we think are valuable. So this is tenant information. Here are my tenant details, my agreement details, my deposit information, and any bond variants. So again, there's little visual indicators that kind of show you like what their 4 weeks normalized rent was and what the dollar collected was, just to highlight those gaps at a really quick snapshot. So you can go and rectify those bits of information. Guys, that really concludes the high level overview of Console's Analytics+ program. As we've mentioned, we're currently in beta. We'll be releasing this product really, really soon. And our wonderful product manager who's been running this project is online answering your questions. Probably just put a little tag in there if you'd like to be part of the beta program, just to get some early access to this information. And I'm just going to hand it back to Nikki. Or Court.
Court. Thanks, Matt. That was really informative.
Alrighty, so jumping back into our slides, we hope you have found this demo as well as the presentation informative. You might have been taking something away that you hadn't learned before, and from our poll, it does look like that the majority of you are saying that this is totally new and exciting, which is exactly what we wanted to be hearing. So woohoo! Alrighty, so moving on from here. So giving a little bit of a breakdown in terms of where the reporting suites lie based on our current subscriptions that we have. So if you are a Console Cloud customer, I have very good news for you. Analytics+ will be available within, to replace Insights and Insights Pro. And all of the reports that you can see here will be available on Accelerate, and the KPI dashboards that Matt ran through a little bit earlier in his demo will be available on the premium tier, which is very exciting. So as mentioned, this will be available as a part of your current subscription once it is live, and we will dive into the launch. And, the question on everybody's lips, when is this going to be live and when can I get my hands on it? So, well, we've done the demo, so moving on from there. Okay, so how do I get it? So first things first, the launch of Analytics+ will be rolled out to new customers, to current customers in November. So you only have 10-ish days to wait until the launch of Analytics+. So keep an eye out. We will be notifying you via email, as well as the little pop-ups that you do see in Console Cloud sometimes, to let you know that Analytics+ is live, and we're very excited for it. Second thing on the list is we'll be working through to ensure that, this is a lot of information. Matt ran through it excellently, but he did, there's a lot to consume. So what we're going to be doing is putting together all of the training and enablement, for you, so that you can be using this feature to the fullest. And then finally, it will then become available for new customers, so that once our new customers are on board, they've got all the training ready to roll, and we can be, getting you up and running and, ready to roll using Analytics+, which is very exciting. So To conclude on when this is available, this will be ready for you for existing customers, ready in November, and for new customers, probably a little bit later, at the very latest by the end of the year, which is very exciting. So I have one last poll that I would love to get your feedback on, which is, once this is live, would you like a demo? We would love to hear your feedback on this one. Again, I just wanted to thank Nikki as well as Matt for being here today and presenting to all of you, as well as, of course, to you guys, our wonderful participants, for being here on this webinar today. We're very excited about the launch of Analytics+, and we hope that you are too. And we look forward to hearing your feedback, gaining greater insight into what you'd like to see from Analytics+, and answer any questions that you do have. So from here, what I will do is we will just be stopping the presentation, muting and stopping the video, but Anne will still be on the line. So if you do have more questions coming through, Anne will be here to answer them, and we'll keep that live for maybe 5 minutes or so, and then we'll wrap things up. Once again, thank you so much for joining us here on today's webinar, and we hope you have a wonderful day.